Should you buy a high mileage E92 M3? That might be a question you've asked yourself if you've clicked on this video. So welcome to my channel. My name is Adam Ivel. This is part of the 621 reviews series, and it just so happens I have a high mileage E92 M3 right here, and I've been living with it. So let's jump in and answer some of the important questions that I might have answered for you, and maybe some useless ones too. Let's jump into it. So this is a high mileage E92 M3. This is actually a Monte Carlo limited edition one as well. I've borrowed this off of Evolve Automotive while they do a few more bits to my M3. So my one is like the opposite end of the spectrum. It's a low mileage one that I've owned for a long time now, and it's hit that sweet 10-year mark where it needs lots of maintenance done. And by a lot of maintenance, I mean more than I ever expected it to. So this is a good question. I feel like I'm in a good place to answer this question, or at least attempt to answer it for you guys out there. Whether it's worth buying a higher mileage one and doing the work on it, or buying a low mileage one and still probably having to do the work on it if it's not been done already. Because they've kind of hit that age now where they all need work doing. I also feel like right now in the car market as well, it might be the sweetest time ever to buy an E92 M3. With the prices as they are, I feel like they've done the bottom price. They're no longer 12 grand cars. They're minimum of 16 from me looking online this week, which says they've hit the rock bottom and they're on their way up. I guess we can hope they're on their way up if you're an owner of one, and if you are looking to become an owner of one, right now might be the sweetest time to buy one. But I feel like if you're going to buy a high mileage one, you might need a little bit of money over to pamper the old girl just a little bit to make sure it gets up to the expectations that BMW really have set themselves for the M3 being such an excellent car. So let's jump into it, shall we? To me, the E92 is a German muscle car, and yes, I am calling it a muscle car. Big V8 hiding underneath this bulging bonnet, hardly really hiding it, is it, with the big bulging bonnet. You've got big wide arches that flare out on the side of the body, the big bulge in the middle of the bonnet with the vents either side. So you get the M3 mirrors, quite an iconic thing on the M3. They've always had their own unique mirror design, which in the late 90s and early 2000s tuning scene become a major part of almost every modified car. There were always M3 style mirrors on the cars, and it's nice to have the original car that they kind of come on, you know, they're meant to be there. Aesthetics changes from the standard 3 Series really sets it apart. It always makes me feel like I've got such a special car when it's specifically made and designed for that one engine. Like, that's kind of what it is. This one model got a whole redesign from BMW, from the mirrors, the arches, the bonnet, to my favorite part, which is the carbon fiber roof. It's absolutely beautiful to look at. The carbon fiber roofs to me are a really special part of the M3, the E92 anyway, and I love it. It's one of my favorite things you can get on these. Obviously on the side vents, side wings, they come with the vents in them with the M3 badge on. They come with the 19-inch M3 wheels, slightly bigger brakes from the non-M model cars, and obviously a few changes on the interior as well. But as well, obviously the model has a bloodline of historic racing. And I love that. Maybe not so much this car, but the bloodline has it, you know. It's this is why the M3 was born, was for racing, for homologation cars to get into the race series, which is super cool. Obviously it all started with the E30 M3, and I did a video ages ago on the E30 M3, and one day I'd love to revisit that car, especially with the human being I am now. I'd love to revisit that, and I'd love to really deep dive into that car and spend a bit of time with it. But today, we're on this, the E92 M3, and this is going to be a new style of video that I haven't attempted in a long time, and this is something I used to do, the review kind of series. So I hope you guys will sit down, get comfortable, and enjoy what I have to kind of present to you here. Lots of 60 figures on this was 4.7 seconds stated from BMW. I believe them, especially after having some mods done on my one. I think they're fantastic cars. They move so well for a big, heavy German machine. They look amazing, man. Oh my God, they're such a beautiful car. This is a very high spec one as well. This has got pretty much every optional extra you can have on it. And Evolve told me how much they paid for it. I'm pretty sure they won't mind me saying, but they paid £16,000 for this car, which is so cheap when you think that out of the factory they were 51,000 plus pounds for one of these. And they're not even that old. This is a 10 plate, so 2010. I mean, that's a bargain in my eyes. But if you are buying a bargain car, that obviously entails certain things. Now, obviously, this is a high mileage video. This is a high mileage car, 153 plus thousand miles on it. I feel like £16,000 for a 50 plus thousand pound car is very good value for money, even in the age gap difference that they come in. And I also feel like we're in a bit of a period of human history where money and figures and numbers is so outrageous to us on a day-to-day. I mean, we hear of Premier League footballers earning 300, 400, I think one of them's on £895,000 a week. And real world and think, geez, that's a lot of money. So £51,000 on paper may not look a huge amount, but in reality it is a huge amount of money. And to be able to get a car that is worth 50 plus thousand pound for 16 grand, it's a great deal. It really is a great deal, especially a car as good as this. With that means there's going to be stuff that you're probably going to need to do. So I think the best way to compare this is if you are in the market for an M3 and you have the budget for a really good M3, is it worth buying a higher mileage one and doing all the bits that you know will need doing on these, and then having the finished product for yourself, maybe cheaper than it'd be to buy a good one and still have to do some maintenance on them. With my videos, I kind of allow my brain to go a bit crazy and just do it all on the spur at the moment. But I feel like this is a video I really want to get right. And I wanted to make sure that I do get it right. So I've got some notes written down. So if you see me referring back to the bits of paper, it's because I've spent hours earlier writing some stuff down that I don't want to forget. Dive into this a little bit. When you buy an M car, even if you do buy one that is £16,000, you do have to remember these things come with a crazy M car tax. So brakes, expensive, suspensions, expensive, modifications are generally quite expensive. Fixing them is quite expensive, which is annoying more than anything, which is why I'm going to instantly tell you to go to Evolve and get quotes from Evolve, not just because they lent me my car, but because I take my cars to them to get worked on. My M3 only goes to Evolve, and I believe they're great at what they do, and you are guaranteed a good product out of it. The only thing I can comfortably say is that is affordable on these is the servicing. They're not too far different from a regular 3 Series. Same either mileage or 2-year interval period on the servicing, and they are basically the same price to service, even at a BMW main dealer, as a 330D or 335i petrol. So that was cool. When I had it done at BMW before I found Evolve, I was pleasantly surprised with the servicing costs. I feel like I'm in a fairly good position to make this video. As a BMW M3 owner myself, I bought a low mileage car 6 years ago. I picked it up on 30,000 miles. I think it's only just ticked over 50 something thousand. I'll be honest, I haven't seen the car in 2 months properly, so I can't remember. But it has finally hit that 10-year age marker, which is, for me, been pretty devastating. Now, if I was to look into getting into the M3 market, would I go for the expensive, low mileage, not had much done, or would I be looking at a more, a more honest car? A car that is completely honest with itself, a high mileage car with history. I'd always go for one with history and maybe dive into the aspects of owning it and building it how I want it with relatively little no stress looming over my head, thinking of resale values. To go over some of the stuff you need to look at if you are going to buy one of these. The big main thing that you have to think about with an E92 M3 is under here. The rod bearings and the actuators go on these quite regularly, and if the rod bearings go on one of these engines, it is going to be a very expensive fix. So what I would do if I was to buy, let's say a £16,000 M3 now, I would make sure I budgeted £1,500 extra to drop it straight to Evolve and instantly have the rod bearings changed. Even mine, which is a 13 plate that had all the changes done in the engine by BMW, still had marks on the rod bearings, the shells, when we took it out of the car, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, it's only a 40, at the time, 40,000 mile car, and it's already got scoring on it. So very, very lucky that we got that done when we did, and it gives me years of motoring without having to worry. I'll probably redo them when it gets to 100,000 miles. I'd like to think that I'm going to do them every 50,000 miles. So we've still got a lot of road trips ahead before we have to take the engine apart again. But that is definitely something I would consider doing immediately if I bought one of these, purely because of the risk to reward on that. Is for £1,500, you get engine, what's the word? You get a form of, so you get a form of security by having the engine done, knowing you can take it to red line and enjoy it for a long time. I think that's definitely worthwhile doing. On the other hand, you could look for one. I know there's lots of forums out there and groups on Facebook and all the rest of it, where you could simply put, I'm looking for a high mileage E92 M3, but I want the rod bearings done recently. A lot of people have these done. There's plenty of specialists that do it. And I know that, especially with Evolve, they do tons of rod bearings and stuff like that. So other things that I noticed, I'm going to read this off of this list as well, because I want to make sure I get this dead right. I don't need to have my ego stroked about remembering everything perfectly. But one other thing that has been, other things that have been reported with these is poor throttle response, which is from the actuators failing. An uneven tick over, which is a result of faulty ignition coils and faulty injectors causing lumpy acceleration. The DCT gearboxes in these, if you buy the automatic DCT flappy paddle one, they need servicing around 60,000 miles at a time. I would recommend popping along to your local remapping specialist to put the GTS map on the box. It makes the shifting feel absolutely outrageous. It's so good, it's so much fun. Highly recommend that. It'd be so beautifully crisp, you'll never regret buying the DCT. That was always something for me, buying a DCT car when I'm such a car guy. I love driving, I love manual cars. But after reading all of the reviews and all of that sort of stuff, I had to go for the DCT, purely because the way the big gearbox was built for this engine. I wanted to try it, I wanted to see it was, and 6 years deep and I still love it. So no regrets on that one. Evolve Automotive's car. You may have seen it on their YouTube channel. If you haven't, I'm going to leave the exact videos you need to watch on this to kind of amplify your whole view of this situation once you're done with this video. So it'll be them test driving this against their really nice Japan red one, and also them changing all the underside, all the bushings to make this drive as excellently as it does at 153,000+ miles. I still cannot believe how well this car drives, which we're going to be able to go out and see very, very shortly. Done a whole load of driving in it and I absolutely love it. It is so good. They paid, like I said, £16,000 for it. I think they've put in about £8,000 worth of work into this car to make it what it is. So altogether, it owes them £24,000. Now, for £24,000, that's still £4,000 less than what I paid for mine. And plus all of the work I've had done on mine, it definitely totals up to nearer £40,000 at the moment. So £24,000 seems like an absolute bargain for a car that drives this well. So, well done, Evolve. Hats off to you. I'll take my hat off, but it'll get sunburnt, bald, innit? During this video, talk about how you might be able to use an M3. There's multiple different ways. They are fantastic in every form, and we are going to touch on some more niche stuff as well. So make sure you stay tuned for the driving bit. I don't think I mentioned, has replacement shocks on it from their 70,000 mile car. So they put their 70,000 mile shocks on this one. That was something that they changed, and wow. It drives amazing. I've had so much fun around these back roads this last couple of days. I want to show you how well this drives. So, I mean, I took the day off to do this video. So we've got miles and miles of Essex countryside to go and drive, and a excellent car to do it in. Poor me. So Evolve paid £16,000 for this, and really interestingly, they dynoed it as it was when they picked it up. They then changed the spark plugs and they gained 12 horsepower over what it was when they picked it up, which I think is pretty amazing. Just spark plugs managed to do that. And that lorry's flashing. Does that mean there's a police car down here? Anyway, so just spark plugs manages to bring back 12 horsepower. So they've been lost in time, you know, so you get those back for such a simple little change. I really want to explain with this 153,558 as we drive. Mileage M3 is how incredible it feels to drive. The full work's done on the underside, replacing all the bushes for fresh OE quality ones, especially the subframe bushes. They had to be replaced, but not just that on this car. The subframe itself had to be replaced too, which is obviously kind of a costly job, but when you feel the difference, so when you feel what happens to the car once you get this work done, it feels like it is worth every penny. The car does really drive like it's fresh out of the factory from back in. I mean, this one would be 2010. It's a 13-year-old car at this point. Can't believe these are so old now. The car did obviously need the replacement subframe, the bushes, and a lot of the cars that are of this age may need that too. End up being a bit of a bill, but what you get in return for that bill is outrageous. Like, the car handles so well. And you do really feel like you've got a very new, it feels like it's fresh out of the box. It feels amazing. The engine feels so responsive as well. I don't know if this car has had the actuators done. I'll have to check back on Evolve's video. I can't remember everything that they did to it, because they really did give this car the full works. The shifters feel amazing. The gear shifting feels incredible. It's so taut. That is definitely one of my favorite things about the M3, is what it feels like when you turn it into a corner. One of my least favorite things about what would be the cheaper M3s, going off of price and not of mileage, we're obviously going to be looking at earlier M3s, the pre-LCI ones. I just feel like the technology is so old in those. I really feel like the more modern LCI ones had such better tech in them. But thankfully, like with most things, there are aftermarket options available for those too. If you just join up to an M group, like one of the M3 owner groups, there's regularly people on there that do like the Apple CarPlay or whatever the Android alternative is, for about £400. It's not really going to break the bank to make the car feel brand new again, and I think it's a really cool feature being able to have your phone connect up to it and all that. This one doesn't have it, but it does have the more modern tech, but the map is old in it. It doesn't seem to have Bluetooth. They've had to like connect a new piece of programming in to make that work, but it does work really well. Really well. We're on the twisties now. Let's I love how that V8 builds its revs. It's so good. Such a linear feeling. Just drop it down. Oh, the gearbox feels so fantastic as well. The DCT in these, the double clutch transmission, is such a fantastic box to play around with. I know there'll be some people out there that are manual purists. Now, normally that would be me, but this gearbox was one that changed my mind and changed my thoughts towards sport automatic gearboxes in these type of cars. I love it. The gear shifts feel really instant. For the age of the car, I should say that obviously there are much better options out there now. Wow, people are driving like arseholes down here. There are much better options probably available in more modern cars, but this is a really good option for the age of the car. I really like this. Just feels so good. Drop it down a gear. Oh, I love how it exits the corner. I'm trying to put this into words for you guys to explain. So drop it down, you just put the front end in and the rear follows. You get a little bit squirmy out of some of them as well. It is so much fun. On the brakes, tuck her in. Oh, they're so good. If you told me this car had 150,000 miles on it before I drove it, I would laugh at you with how this thing handles. It is outrageous. And it's making me so excited to get my one back as well, honestly. Then you knock it back into normal auto and you can drive it as if you haven't just stole it from Evolve and you've got to give it back. So as we drive through this village, I'm going to calm it down a little bit. What an amazing car these are. I wish I didn't like them so much so I could try some other cars, but just nothing Nothing gets me like these. Wow, man. This feels fantastic. What else I wanted to kind of touch on is obviously the price of vehicles has gone absolutely crazy since the lockdowns, COVID stuff all happened and all that. And I feel like you've got to kind of look at the bigger picture when you're buying a car. Now, a niche that I am really into is drifting. And obviously the Japanese cars are hugely popular in that. But I feel like these have been massively overlooked in that sport. I won't drown on about drifting for too long because I know it's a very niche thing. But I feel like if you are one of my audience as a drifter and you're considering one of these, or even considering a new car and you're saving up for an S15, why spend 20 grand on a rusty, ropey S15 that's going to require thousands, and I mean thousands of pounds worth of maintenance to make it as good as you hope? Why wouldn't you just go buy a manual one of these and put in a few £1,000s of maintenance repairs, a few £1,000s of mods, and then you're pretty much away, you're ready to go? These haven't hit the big prices yet, and I believe that we are starting to see them creep up. So when these were originally hitting their bottom, it seems that they kind of bottomed out around £11,000. There might have been some cheaper that I haven't seen. I definitely remember seeing them for £11,000, and I couldn't believe you could buy an M3 for £11,000, an E92 M3. A lot of examples, these are now cheaper than E46 M3s. And I'm not going to sit here and say, this is the best M3. This is just my favourite one. I've never actually driven an E46 or an E36 M3, so I can't really give a fair comparison on them, and I'm not just going to spew rubbish for the sake of it. These really have so much potential to become the ultimate whatever you want it to be car. Whether it's a road trip car per se. I took mine down to the Nürburgring and just driving it through the roads and around the hills, amazing. I've taken it on many journeys. I took mine up to the Highlands of Scotland. I plan on taking it and doing the NC 500 before the end of the year. They really are a fantastic car. I mean, they're an M3 for goodness sake. Like they are the ultimate, you know, they are the ultimate Grand Coupe driver's car, in my opinion. I don't think you can really get any better than anything with an M3 badge on for the money. It's a nice tight bend. Whoa! Such a playful machine as well. It's such a big, heavy car. It's so playful, and I love that. It feels so easy to control when it's trying to play with you. Instead of it feeling like a big, heavy lummox of a vehicle, it just feels like a different car. Like I said, the second you press that M button on these things, these cars transform into the magic of the M3. They're so superb. I love this car so much, and they feel so fantastic. It feels so taut and tight, and it feels so taut around these corners. It feels so, oh, it just feels so fantastic. Pinpoint accuracy with the handling too. The weight distribution feels amazing, considering we've got that big heavy V8 under the bonnet as well. Oh my goodness me. I really like the DCT as well, the flappy paddles. I love it. I love how quick and instant the gear change is, how the car sets yourself up for the corners. You bang it down flat on the foot, shoots you out of the corner like a rifle shooting a 5.56 bullet. It feels fantastic. It's oh, I love it. It puts such a smile on my face every single time I get to drive an M3. The E92 anyway. Like I said, I haven't driven many of the other types, but wow, this thing is so good around these back roads. I don't want to call it a B-lane basher, but for a quick B-lane bash, it's some car. I know we're all different on this subject, but cars to me are toys to be enjoyed unless they are my daily driver, in which it has to have set rules. So it has to be out of tow, the dog has to go in the boot of it, it's got to be good on fuel, it's got to be comfortable and practical. That's why I have a Bmw X5. I think it's the best car for the job, and it's just brilliant. I love it. But when it comes to like my fun car, it has to be enjoyed. I have to use it. I get no joy out of the cars sat in the garage, even ones that I still have here that are sat in the garage waiting to be fixed so I can use them more. It frustrates me. I know we're all different though, and I know to you, maybe you want to buy an M3 to put it in your garage or in your driveway and look at it and not really use it a whole lot. I get that too, I understand. But they're so good, it feels almost criminal not to use it, not to enjoy it. And also, I feel like right now might be the final chance you get to buy one without that looming doom of, oh my God, this car's worth a fortune now. I don't know if I can enjoy it as I should. I think that if we look at the E36 M3s, they are extortionate now for a good one. E30 M3s are supercar money. E46 M3s are more expensive than these, which tells me grab one of these before they've gone, before they're too high, you know. Thank Evolve again really quickly for lending me this. They didn't have to. They could have sent me home on the train, and they gave me an E92 M3 for as long as I need. I'm going to drop it back next week. Full tank of premium fuel in this old girl, so I feel like I should be the one to use it. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the 621 review video. I hope it didn't bother you too much that I was reading a little bit off of here, but I just had some important information that I didn't want to forget, and I didn't want to just ramble. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope this has been an entertaining video for yourselves, and yeah, I'll tune back in the next video. I don't really know what it's going to be yet. It might be a review, it might be a feature, it might be a track day, but either way, or it might even be a drift day. So either way, it's going to be something. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. If you're new, hit subscribe. It means a lot to the channel to see them numbers keep growing. Check out the merchandise, 621.com, for premium car culture clothing. I think you'll love it. I wear it all the time, like, and this is still like brand new. So I think it's been an amazing investments for me. We've got a load of range on the website, and if you want some behind the scenes video, check out the members page. We're trying to do as many as we can for that. You get free photos from each shoot we do and everything like that. It's really, really good. Thank you very much, guys, and thank you very much, Evolve, for lending me the M3. I hope you liked the video, and see you again in the next one.